Mike Haystead. I'm Mike Truitt from the Carbon Neutral Group. I want to start with one question for all three panelists. What do you see as the biggest barrier to improving energy efficiency in commercial buildings? And what strategies have you found most effective in overcoming that barrier? Go right ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Kevin.
Hi, Kevin Smith. I'm the general manager of the Embassy Suites in Loveland. I think the biggest barrier, well, I guess I've been there 5 years, been at 8 different hotels in 5 different states, so I kind of see a lot about energy in different areas as well. I think one of the biggest barriers for the hotel I'm at is trying to get it into a budget, into a capital budget. Sometimes our capital plans are done 3 to 5 years in advance, and without having the efficiency works and the rebates that we get through Colorado, we just won't be able to do some of the things we've done. So I think that's a barrier and a positive thing as well.
I can go next. I'm Jack Behrenkamp. I'm with Schneider Electric. We're an energy service company that helps public entities and commercial buildings kind of walk through the process of improving their facilities with energy efficiency measures. I would say the biggest barrier, kind of echoing Kevin's point, is simply time and energy a lot of the times. Especially for small business owners, they're focused on serving their customers, keeping the lights on, paying their employees. It can be hard to think about energy efficiency improvements when they don't really seem like they match those kind of goals. In reality, oftentimes they do support a lot of those goals, and I think one of the results of our team has been the Commercial Navigator's Guide, and that could be a really good place to start to kind of cut through all the noise about the different energy efficiency measures you can tackle, some basic resources that are available, some different funding options. That just kind of looking at those resources are a really good place to start when you're dipping your toes into the energy efficiency process.
I'll go next. My name is Bryce Brady. I work over at Flat River Power Authority. We are the generation and transmission entity for electricity being provided to our winter communities, which is Fort Collins, Longmont, Loveland, and Estes Park. So in Larimer County, that's Fort Collins, Loveland, and Estes Park. And why I'm here today is I'm kind of coming from this utility perspective. What can utilities do to help commercial customers become more efficient or think about their energy use in a different way? And as these guys have mentioned in a couple of different implications, one is the financial budgeting, one is time. You took my thunder on time because I was totally going to use time as my thing, but the reality is how can we think about our utility programs in a way to support commercial customers through our communities to reduce the time burden or help with that financial burden? And that's from a strategic effort. We want to knock down the challenge and make it easier as we move forward. So I'm lucky enough each day to work with a team that oversees the Efficiency Works programs that Kevin just briefly mentioned, and that serves the bigger population centers of Larimer County. But outside of Fort Collins, Loveland, and Estes Park, Larimer County, Xcel Energy and PBRA also have some really good programming out there to help customers or commercial customers navigate different opportunities or figure out ways to manage their budgets, which are always tight and always being pinched, or figure out, is there a program to navigate my time in a way that makes sense to get me to the finish line in a more efficient building?
Sure. I would say the one thing I picked up on having been involved in this sort of work for quite some time is training, and I'm speaking of the vocational training in the trades. Was just talking to some guys from one of the biggest commercial outfits in northern Colorado today, Tolan Mechanical. They manage a lot of buildings, and they said one of their best guys, 42 years of experience, just walked out. Just retired. He's going to go spend, ride off to the sunset and spend a lot of time with his grandkids. But there's 42 years worth of experience, boots on the ground experience that just left the company. And right now, Front Range is working on a kind of some non-credit or short-term credential type crash course, boot camp type classes. They sent out a survey to all the commercial contractors, and the number one answer in terms of a short training program that we would like the community college to offer was entry-level HVAC maintenance technician. Like, just start at square one but, they need guys that are trained. So, that's the main thing. I think that's I think once you have a trained workforce that's comfortable making these upgrades to buildings, you sort of get a built-in sales force to go along with it. But, as someone that's put in a decent amount of HVAC equipment myself, there's the first time you do it, and you make a lot of mistakes, there's a learning curve. And then there's the 10th or 12th time you do it, and you're starting to get the hang of it. First you have to know about it, then you have to do it, then you have to practice, then you have to get good at it, and then you start making money. But the first 10 or 12 are almost like volunteer on the job training. You're not good enough, fast enough at it to get it right the first time and make a good margin. So from HVAC contractor standpoint, I'm hearing from a lot of the bigger companies that they need trained technicians coming into the field. The silver wave is retiring, and that's where we're kind of coming up short right now out there in the market.
Yeah. Great. So there's a little introduction to the topic. I'm going to build off of what your answer was, Kevin, and ask you from a business operations standpoint, how did energy efficiency upgrades impact your bottom line or your guest experience, and what would you do differently?
Okay, I had somebody at our corporate office, he's a VP of asset management. He kind of knew I was going to be on this panel, so he put some numbers together for me, and we're saving, even though energy price has increased over the last 5 years, we've saved about 4% in just cost. We measure things per occupied room, per occupied guest room. So that's kind of how we look at it in the hotel business. And we're saving basically every day. I mean, we're a 24/7, 365 business, and we have lights on all the time. And our lights stay on, and we definitely save some money. I don't know if I'd do really anything different except try to ask for more. We have so much in the hotel business. We've got 70,000 square feet of meeting space. We've got all the meeting space. We've got the guest rooms. We've got the food and beverage outlets. We've got the large commercial kitchens, ovens,
Parking lots.
parking lot. Thank you. Parking lot lights. We replaced those, I think, in 2021 to all LED. And the thing that people don't think about in energy savings is the cost. Changing an old bulb, an old fluorescent T5 or T8 bulb takes time and energy. And in our ballroom, we have 30-foot ceilings. So you got a big lift. You've got to go change the ballast out and everything else. And now with our new lighting in the ballroom, new lighting in the parking lot, we don't have to do any of that. We're just saving money on top of the energy. So the only thing I regret is just not asking for more. So I fixed that.
Yeah.
I ask for a lot now.
Or keep asking. You have to
Exactly,
keep asking, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Jack, thank you so much for plugging this technical assistance guide. It was created, this group worked for the first year and created this commercial technical assistance guide, which you can find in the flyer. If you go to the website, there's a link to it there. So another plug for the annual report flyer there. Okay, so here's the question for you. How do you balance energy performance with upfront cost concerns when working with commercial building owners, especially those with a tight budget?
Yes, great question, because that's definitely the first point that everyone's going to have when thinking about energy efficiency is the cost, and rightfully so. And I think a big reason why cost seems like such a big concern is that energy efficiency can kind of feel like a behemoth right now. I mean, there's a lot of terminology out there about carbon neutral buildings, fully electrified buildings, green buildings, and it's like, I can't do that stuff. Where do I even start? So I think it's important to remember that there's a lot of lower cost, lower effort things that you can start with that still have a big impact. So that's as simple as behavioral changes, making sure your employees are turning off lights when you're not in spaces, tightening up your temperature set points, and then that can quickly graduate to smart thermostats, occupancy sensors, LED retrofits. So all those things still have a relatively quick payback. They're lower effort, and they can start generating those immediate savings. Also think it's really important to communicate the less tangible benefits of energy efficiency improvements. So not only are you reducing your energy usage or lowering your carbon footprint, but you're also improving how spaces are lit, which improves employee productivity, making spaces more comfortable with better HVAC that makes your building a better place for clients and customers to be in. So that can help kind of build the business case for why some of these improvements are important, especially with leadership, whoever's going to be involved in that decision. And then the last piece I would touch on with upfront costs is make sure that you're capturing all the different rebates, incentive programs that are available. Start with your local utility. I know Bryce can speak to some of the programs they have, but every utility you work with will have different programs available. And there's also federal and state programs. There's the 179D tax incentives for energy efficiency. There's solar ITC credits. So there is a lot available. Solar ITC credits are here right now. Who knows what the future holds, but make sure you're doing your due diligence and not missing any of those programs. And last thing I'll quickly plug is that there is financing options available. So the Colorado State Energy Office has the CPACE program, which allows commercial building owners to borrow money to fund upfront work and then pay for that over time with the energy savings that are generated. So that can kind of be a last-ditch effort if you need to make improvements to be in compliance with building performance standards or EUI reductions, and you don't have upfront capital. That is another option. So, yeah.
Thank you. And of course, you're going to be able to tell that we shared our questions ahead of time because you led right into the question for Bryce, which is from utility perspective then, how do you identify which energy efficiency programs to offer and how commercial building owners can best take advantage of those?
Yeah, so good question, and Jack laid it out really well with all the words he just said. It's overwhelming. Where do you start? What can you do? And coming from the utility perspective and what programs we should think about, it's about how do we help customers get to the finish line, customers or commercial entities or even residential customers, depends on the property. Because there are layers upon layers of complexity of, are there incentives, are there tax credits, what kind of product do I put in, what do I not put in? So we immediately go to, well, how do we take those hurdles away from customers to give them the time to think about it or even come up with that plan so they can ask for more money up front on those capital things in their budgeting. And what we provide in our current programming is free facility assessments on the commercial line. We will come out and help navigate all the great things that you were just mentioning that you need to consider and build a plan that the commercial entity can then walk through. Maybe if they need to go ask for budget, or maybe they are the budgeters. What is my plan over the next several years to piece by piece, bite by bite, to make it a little simpler. And that is how we think about our program. What do we need to do to educate the customers on how to maximize and get to the finish line sooner, not overwhelm them with all of the information at once because then everybody stops. Just like all of us when we're going grocery shopping, it's one thing at a time in our cart, right? Not everything at once, and it's the same thing with our buildings. We do one upgrade at a time. And energy efficiency is typically the spot we start because we can save money right away. You mentioned electrification, that's that next piece we want to go to. Let's get efficient, and then electrification helps us with smoothing our carbon footprints, and there's all sorts of things in the future that are coming that will help us with an energy transition.
Thank you. Yeah. I'm sure there's going to be questions afterwards, but Mike, do you want to ask this last question and kind of dive into what's coming next?
For all panelists?
Yep.
Sure. What role do you see new technologies like building automation, heat pumps, or energy storage playing in the future of commercial building energy efficiency? I guess, why don't we start with Kevin?
I think first of all, what we're looking at is occupancy sensors in the guest rooms. That's going to be a pretty big push for our company. We own 73 hotels, and if all 73 of our hotels had occupancy sensors, and then that would definitely save some money there. So I know we're looking at that in the future, work with a couple of different companies. Working on getting electric car chargers in. We'll work with the county on that now. Working on some water flow sensors. What sometimes will happen in a hotel, we have cooling towers, and if the cooling tower starts blowing down water, if nobody sees it, it runs 24/7. So this water sensor would sense a loss of pressure, immediately inform somebody so you get it taken care of. That's happened in our company before where somebody didn't see it because it's in a far unused portion of the hotel. So we're looking at those kind of things in the future.
Okay, thanks, Kevin.
Jack? Yeah, I think we've kind of been all talking about it a little bit, but there's varying degrees of ambition. And I mean, we've mostly talked about energy efficiency, which is kind of that first step, making sure that all of your current systems are as efficient as possible, use as less energy as possible. And then kind of the next step that Bryce mentioned is electrification. So those are electric heat pumps, taking out things that burn fossil fuels, burn natural gas, and making them electrified. And then the next step beyond that is offsetting that electrical usage. So whether that's on-site renewables or going for RECs or PPAs. But those are kind of the varying degrees of ambition, and we're starting to see people move past energy efficiency. There's some more progressive counties and cities in Colorado that are starting to really talk about decarbonization and going out for full decarb plans where they're electrifying everything and then getting the renewables up to speed to offset that electrical usage. So I think that's slowly the way we're going, but it's going to take a lot of time, and it's fine to still be in the energy efficiency space, and it'll be a slow process, but we'll get there.
Bryce?
Yeah, so this is actually the most exciting part of any of the conversations we had. Energy efficiency has been around for decades. It's not as fun and exciting like it once was. It's all the new shiny objects that are coming, the distributed energy production, the battery storage, the how do I shift my load from one thing to another, and that is what the original question was, what are these technologies and different things that you're thinking about? Well, this is where it's exciting. We're not just thinking about maybe more efficient lighting, we're thinking about a building with its whole holistic viewpoint. How does it use energy from start to finish of whatever processes are going on? And then from a utility perspective, we are shifting our programs to accommodate that. Mike, you mentioned a little bit ago about workforce development, essentially. Just tomorrow, we are providing a training for service providers, contractors out there that do work in EV fleet services. That is a new space we're jumping into. It is beyond energy efficiency, but it's in that electrification space to support the broader decarbonization thing that is going on. We are thinking about all these things in the realm of what should you do first, then next. So eat your fruits and vegetables before you have dessert to get into the thing that is fun and exciting to move your load, to match everything else, or battery storage, because they're very expensive endeavors for building of any sort to go down. So if you can become energy efficient first, everything else you do after that is a little bit simpler and a little bit more cost effective. And that's how we're evolving our programs to meet the moment. Over the next several years, lots of things are going to happen in the energy industry to transition us, and we're all going to have to be part of it together. And one thing you're going to hear more and more about coming from the utility world that we're going to need business entities out there and great folks out there on the energy consulting front to help us navigate is virtual power plants. Virtual power plants are how we're all going to talk back and forth on unique devices in different buildings to make sure loads can move back and forth, battery storage can be used in the right way, and balancing everything. But it still starts with energy efficiency. You're 12 to 24 months out, you're going to start hearing more and more of this and how different buildings, residential to commercial, can start participating in a local way in this virtual power plant. So soon it's coming to do your energy efficiency and electrification stuff first.
Eat your fruits and vegetables. What are you gonna add, Mike?
Well, there is definitely some exciting, advancements in technology. Gosh, you get into the equipment and there's so many cool things happening. For years and years, air conditioning systems could have a refrigerant leak, and these are CFCs and HCFCs, thousands of times more potent than carbon dioxide. Some of this stuff depletes the ozone layer. All the new equipment, we have the EPA to thank for this, that'll be coming out in the near future, has leak detection technology. So you'll know if there's a refrigerant leak. That's pretty exciting. these guys are talking about virtual power plants, and we're talking about communicating buildings and building automation systems. I'm the proud new owner of a Honeywell T10 thermostat, and it tells me how many minutes and hours my HVAC system ran, last month. I love that thing. I'm kind of geeking out on it a little bit. This morning, talking to large commercial HVAC contractors, they said, you would not believe how many commercial buildings that the air conditioning is set to 72 degrees all weekend while the building's empty. And heated the same way in the wintertime. We're not, this new technology with building automation systems. Carrier has a new system called iView. All the equipment comes, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi enabled, and your HVAC company can monitor every single room in your commercial building on every floor. They know what temperature, what the humidity is. They know what's working and what's not working. And they can program your building remotely. We pay our energy is really cheap here. And that's probably one of the big barriers too that I didn't mention earlier. You talk to people in Massachusetts where it's 30, 40 cents a kilowatt hour. Southern California commercial businesses pay up to 65 cents a kilowatt hour. And here we are tooling along at 8 and 10 cents, off peak, that kind of thing. So our energy is so relatively cheap, it's kind of easy to be complacent and waste it, right? But with that in mind, there are definitely a lot of new technologies. Some of the stuff's, this is how it goes. It came out 20 years ago, but it was super expensive. And just a handful of early adopters, took the bait. And then it starts to become a little more affordable, and technicians learn the technology. That's a big part of it. I keep bringing that up. But eventually, it's old hat, right? Everybody knows how to do it. It just takes a while. So there's a learning curve. It needs to get less expensive. I've seen a bunch of these inverter-driven cold climate heat pumps, that can put out a lot of heat at sub-zero temperatures. That's like the culmination of 40 years of research and development. And now you can order one on Amazon, right? So the technology's there now, but it didn't happen overnight. But anyway, a lot of exciting stuff as far as the technology goes. As soon as I think I have something figured out, a new thing comes out, and I have to start all over again.
So it's been a quick response to your Mike on a comment you made with our energy rates. They are relatively cheap here in this area compared to the rest of the country, which is amazing. But I'm going to go right back to the energy efficiency piece because you're mentioning you were getting some good paybacks on your energy efficiency. Thousands of projects have been done over the recent years in our communities, and when you think thousands of projects just in the commercial space, drive up and down College, drive up and down LeMay, go down into Loveland, up and down Eisenhower, thousands of projects. That's many businesses, one after another, have done energy efficiency projects. And when you look at the numbers on average, when they invest in their businesses and they start to save that electricity cost, even at the low rates, almost 80% of them are having less than a 2-year payback. 90+% are less than 5-year payback. Even with those low rates, energy efficiency makes financial sense. And that's really exciting because that's more investment back into your local businesses or local economies. It's just a savings that percolates throughout our communities in really positive ways. And so just making sure that we got best of both worlds. Relatively low rates in our communities compared to the rest of the country, and really good investment opportunities to take advantage of that have quick paybacks.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm thinking about the responses that you've given. A lot of it has been advice around what it is that you do, but Kevin in particular, I'm wondering about an organization that has already implemented an energy program with energy savings. What's your decision-making process about what comes next? We've heard new technologies coming. We heard a little bit of struggle around budgets. That's never going to go away. But there's hope with regard to the rebates and the savings you can get. So what's your decision-making process for energy efficiency?
Well, we look at sometimes not an entire project because you do gotta take it bite by bite. So like on parking lot lights, we did that in, I think, 21 and 22. Ballroom lights were 23 or 24. Then we did the whole back of the house at the hotel. That was this year. So we looked at, well, our next project will be the round, little pin lights, spotlights, if you will. We're trying to do those because we've got probably 600 of those in the hotel. So we look at trying to complete the project, but in parts, if you will. So we look at a good ROI because in the hotel business, we don't just have energy equipment. We have paper towels, we have guest rooms, we have wall vinyl, we have carpet, we have all this other stuff for guests that we have to make sure we uphold to a high standard. So we have other things that are taking our money or competing for our money. So we look at what can we get done with the quickest ROI. And usually we look, if it's 18 months to 3 years, that's a pretty good average for us to hopefully try to get that approved through capital. But again, everything in the hotel business is expensive. And and we compete for those dollars. So we try to be strategic in our requests, and if we just keep on hitting them, then that's, I find, is the most successful. A lot of our fellow gyms in my company, they don't do that, and they don't keep on bothering them. They know me because I keep on ringing the bell. And you keep on doing that, then they know you're gonna take care of it, they know it's gonna save money, and it's proven. So I'm a pest, basically.